You're really going through with it, even after everything Carly's been through. That was my mom last month, standing in her kitchen, holding a mug that said, "Family is forever." I remember blinking at her, trying not to laugh or flip the entire table. Let me back up a bit. I'm Nina, 28. I work full-time as a trauma nurse in Chicago, third shift. Blood on my shoes, barely sleep kind of job. I'm used to chaos, used to keeping calm when everyone else is panicking. But this was a different kind of trauma. It all started when Mason proposed. We've been together 4 years, solid, grounded, no drama. He's a software engineer with kind eyes and a goofy laugh. A guy who brings me soup when I'm sick and never makes me feel small. So, yeah. When he got down on one knee on a quiet Saturday morning in February, I said yes before he even finished the question. I was glowing, like genuinely. The kind of happy that makes you forget every shitty thing your family ever made you feel. And then I made the mistake of calling my parents. They were underwhelmed. Not mad, not thrilled, just weirdly neutral, like I had told them I bought a new toaster. And then my mom said, "Oh, how's your sister going to handle this?" My sister. Let me tell you about Carly. She's 33, older, louder, prettier in that polished LinkedIn headshot way. She's a divorce attorney. Yep, read that again, who got her heart broken just 5 months before Mason proposed. Her husband left her for a Pilates instructor and took half her savings and their cat. Now look, I'm not heartless. Breakups suck. Divorce sucks worse. But Carly has never been the nurturing big sister type. In fact, she made my life hell growing up. She and her perfect friends would laugh at my thrift store clothes, call me Nina the Need Me, and once told a guy I liked that I had lice. I didn't. And the thing is, my parents never did anything about it, not once. They just said, "Sisters fight, honey," or "Don't be so sensitive." So yeah, I learned early not to expect much. But when I got engaged, I thought maybe this would be the thing that brought us closer. A new chapter, a fresh start. So I invited them to dinner at our place, nothing fancy. Pizza, wine, some Pinterest wedding inspo. They were half an hour late, and when they walked in, my mom was holding a little gift bag. I swear, for a second I thought, is this it? Did she bring me something for the engagement? Maybe we're finally getting somewhere. Nope. Inside the bag, Carly's mail. A stack of envelopes. She forgot to change the address for when she moved out of her ex's apartment. I looked at Mason, and I could tell he was holding back a WTF just for my sake. Dinner was awkward. My dad mostly watched sports highlights on his phone. My mom asked if I'd thought about postponing the wedding just for a bit to give Carly time. I laughed, thought she was kidding. She wasn't. What are you even talking about? That's what I said, out loud. I couldn't help it. My mom took a sip of wine and gave me that look, the one that says, "You're overreacting before I've even reacted." She said, "Carly's still healing. She's not in a place to watch her little sister get married." Mom, she's a divorce lawyer. She literally profits off people breaking up. That's not fair, Nina. No, what's not fair is being asked to pause the happiest moment of my life because my sister can't deal with people seeing me happy. Dad finally looked up. Said, "You know your sister's not good with attention when she's vulnerable." I said, "You mean when she's not the center of it?" I could feel Mason's hand on my back, grounding me, but inside I was boiling. Not because they were asking, because I wasn't even surprised. Rewind to a year ago, Carly and I hadn't spoken for 6 months after she threw a wine glass at our cousin's baby shower. Why? Because I wore white. She said it was attention-seeking at a baby shower. Then came the divorce, and my mom, of course, rushed to her side like the world had stopped spinning. She moved in with our parents. Didn't work for months. Just stayed home watching court dramas and posting cryptic shit on Facebook, like some people just weren't ready for a real one. I checked in. I dropped off food. I offered to help her apartment hunt. She didn't reply. And now I was supposed to hit pause on my entire future because Carly might cry at my wedding. I said no, politely at first, then not so politely when they kept pushing. And then came the guilt trip. You're tearing this family apart. The next week was a blur of passive-aggressive texts. We just think a little empathy goes a long way. She's your only sister. Blood is blood. You'll understand when you have daughters of your own. I wanted to scream. Meanwhile, Carly hadn't said a word to me directly. Just let our parents do the dirty work. Classic. So I called her, straight up. Did you ask them to tell me to delay my wedding? Long pause. Then yeah, I did. Her voice was flat, like she was talking about the weather. She said, "It just feels like a slap in the face. You know everyone's going to be looking at you, asking me if I'm okay. I don't want that." I said, "So, canceling my wedding is your solution?" She said, "I thought maybe if you waited a year or two, I could be in a better place." A year or two? A asterisk, asterisk, asterisk in year or two? That was the moment I knew. I hung up. No yelling, no insults. Just said, "Thanks for the clarity," and ended the call. That night, I texted my parents. "I'm getting married on the date we chose. You're invited. But if you can't come because Carly's uncomfortable, that's your choice, not my burden." No response. Just silence. And you know what? For once, it felt clean, like cutting off a thread that's been tangled around your wrist for years. Just tight enough to leave a mark, but never quite enough to kill the blood flow. Mason held me that night and said, "We'll make our own family." And maybe that's when the revenge started, not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet power. Last week was my wedding. I still can't believe it actually happened. Not because I had doubts about Mason, never that, but because I half expected some last-minute family stunt, like my mom showing up in a black dress, or Carly pulling a surprise speech at the reception to talk about heartbreak and resilience. But nope. They didn't show. None of them. And walking down the aisle without my dad, that one hit me hard. I tried to prep myself for it. Mentally, emotionally, I told myself, "You've walked through ER doors with people dying on stretchers. You've held a stranger's artery closed for 15 minutes straight. You can do this." But as the music started and everyone turned to look at me, I hesitated. Just a second, my friend Tasha, who was my maid of honor and basically my emotional bodyguard through this whole mess, gave my hand a tiny squeeze. "You've got this, babe." I nodded, lifted my chin, and stepped forward. The aisle felt endless, like it was stretching on purpose to test me. But then I locked eyes with Mason, standing there in his navy suit looking like home, and everything else blurred. I made it. I *King made it. And for the first time in forever, I didn't care who wasn't there. I cared about who was. Our friends, our chosen family, a few cousins on my dad's side who didn't get swept up in the Carly pity parade, Mason's parents, who had already unofficially adopted me. We said our vows. I cried a little. He did too. He'll deny it. But I saw the lip quiver. And when we kissed, I swear something cracked open inside me, like a door that had always been locked, finally creaked open. I was free. The reception was beautiful. Small venue, string lights, taco bar, because why not, and zero drama. At least, until the questions started. "Where are your parents? They couldn't make it. Everything okay with your sister?" At first I brushed it off with the usual family stuff, but it kept coming. I knew I had a choice, either lie and smile through it, or finally tell the truth. I chose the latter. After my second glass of Prosecco, I sat down with a small group of my cousins and just laid it out. I didn't want to make a big thing of it. I said, but yeah, my parents asked me to delay the wedding for 2 years so Carly could heal. And when I said no, they bailed. Cue stunned faces. One of my cousins, Julia, literally said, "You're joking. That sounds like something from a F*** King Lifetime movie." I just shrugged. Wish I was. Another cousin, Matt, shook his head. Honestly, that tracks. They always bent over backward for Carly. I blinked. Wait, you saw that too? Oh, everyone saw it. The rest of us just weren't sure if you noticed. That hit me like a freight train. All these years thinking I was imagining it. Overreacting. Being too sensitive. Turns out, people did notice. They just never said anything. And now they were saying plenty. By the end of the night, word had spread. Not in a gossipy way, more like a collective. Holy shit. We didn't realize how bad it was for Nina * kind of way. People pulled me aside to tell me I did the right thing, that they were proud of me, that they wished they'd spoken up sooner. I felt like I was exhaling for the first time in years. The next morning, Mason and I got up early for our honeymoon flight. We were heading to Costa Rica, a week of sun. No phones, no emails, no family drama. Before we left, I did one thing. I posted a photo from the wedding on Instagram. Just one. Me and Mason, laughing during our first dance. No caption, no hashtags, just the image. An hour later, I had 3 missed calls from my mom. I didn't answer. On the plane, I turned my phone off completely. When we landed, I left it off for the entire week. That week was heaven. Actual heaven. We ziplined through rainforests, drank ridiculous cocktails out of pineapples, made love like teenagers, and fell asleep every night to ocean waves. It was the softest, safest space I've ever known. But of course, reality was waiting. When we got back, I finally turned my phone on. 17 voicemails, dozens of texts. My mom, I saw your little post, so this is who you are now. You cut your family out for attention. My dad, you're embarrassing us. Carly, the queen herself, finally chimed in, you made me look like a villain when I was just trying to set boundaries. Boundaries B*H. You tried to erase me. I was pissed, but also exhausted, like I didn't even have the strength to clap back. So I blocked their numbers. Again. They started reaching out on Instagram, Facebook, Mason's email, even a burner number texted me, "We're still your parents. You'll regret this." And the kicker, one of my aunts DM'd me, "Just wanted you to know your parents were uninvited from Stephanie's wedding next month. We don't want that energy around." Stephanie's my cousin, the same one who once told me Carly was a real-life Regina George with a law degree. I laughed out loud when I saw it. My mom must have found out, because the next morning I got a handwritten letter in the mail. Yes, a F*** letter. It said, in shaky cursive, "You've humiliated us. We gave you everything, and this is how you repay us." I stared at it for a solid minute, then folded it up, walked to the kitchen, and fed it through the shredder. Mason watched me do it and said nothing, just handed me coffee and kissed my forehead. I love that man. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Tasha texted me late one night. Check Carly's Facebook. You're not going to believe this." I opened it. There it was. Carly, in a white dress, smiling ear to ear, caption, "Can't wait to marry my forever." What? The F***CK. The same woman who cried about not being able to attend my wedding because she was too fragile. Now she's engaged again to a guy she's only been dating for 4 months. I scrolled. Engagement shoot in Napa, #second chances. A freaking countdown widget to her wedding in 6 weeks. I just sat there, staring at my screen, stunned. She never told me, or Mason, or anyone, apparently not even our mutual cousins. And you know what? I wasn't even angry. I was done. Done trying to make sense of it. Done wondering if I was the one who overreacted. Done hoping for apologies that would never come. I turned off my phone again, this time for good. Because the real plot twist isn't Carly getting remarried. It's me finally realizing I don't need any of them to be whole. I never did. ChatGPT said 3 days after the Carly Facebook bomb, Mason and I were in the middle of a Sunday brunch, scrambled eggs, iced coffee. Real peaceful shit when I got a text from my mom. Come pick up your stuff, Sunday by 5, or it goes in the trash. No hi, no context, just that. I stared at it, fork halfway to my mouth. Mason looked up. You good? I showed him the text. He read it, blinked, then said, You want me to drive? We didn't talk much on the way there, honestly. What was there to say? I think we were both just waiting to see what fresh hell my parents had cooked up this time. I was prepared for awkwardness, maybe some cold stares, worst case a guilt trip lecture in the driveway. What I wasn't prepared for. My entire childhood, literally everything dumped on their front lawn like garage sale leftovers no one wanted. There were 2 trash bags full of clothes, a milk crate of old yearbooks, and a box labeled Nina's Crap written in Sharpie. No joke. The Sharpie bled through the cardboard from how hard someone wrote it. My old teddy bear face down in the grass. My 8th grade soccer medal tangled in an extension cord. My photo albums half open, pages fluttering in the breeze. It had rained earlier that morning. Not pouring, but enough to soak the bottom of the box. One of my favorite childhood books, Matilda, had water stains blooming across the pages like mold. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there for a minute, staring. My mom was watching from the window. I could see her, standing with her arms crossed, like she was waiting for something. Maybe a reaction? Maybe a thank you for her generosity in giving me a 5-hour pickup window. Screw that. I looked at Mason. Let's just load it. He didn't say a word, just opened the trunk and started grabbing boxes. It took us 20 minutes. No one came out. Not my mom, not my dad, not Carly, obviously. It was like I was erasing myself from their world, and they couldn't wait to watch. As we packed the last box, I saw something wedged at the bottom of the pile. A birthday card from years ago, the kind you find buried in junk drawers or tucked inside books. I opened it. It was from my dad. Happy 17th, kiddo. Proud of you always. Love, Dad. I stared at the handwriting for a second, then put it back in the box. Proud of me, huh? Cool. We drove home in silence. I kept glancing at the boxes, trying to feel something. Nostalgia, sadness, anger, but mostly just emptiness. I think that was the most shocking part. Not the cruelty, not the disrespect, but how little I felt in response. It was like the part of me that used to beg for their love had finally died. Quietly. Without fanfare. Like an old battery giving out. That night, we left the boxes in the garage. I didn't even bother to go through them. I showered, put on pajamas, and curled up on the couch. Mason brought me tea and sat next to me, not touching, just there. I appreciated that more than he probably knows. After a while, he said, "You okay?" I shrugged. I think I finally get it. Get what? They were never going to choose me. Not really. It was always Carly. I was just the stand-in, the afterthought, the backup plan in case Golden Girl lost her shine. He didn't argue, didn't say, "No, that's not true," or "They love you in their own way." He just nodded. Because he got it. That week, I started going through my things, little by little. Some stuff I tossed, immediately ripped notebooks, a cracked jewelry box, old clothes that smelled like mildew and teen angst. But some things hit harder. Like a picture from a school science fair. I was standing next to my volcano model, beaming. Carly was in the background, blurry, giving the camera a sarcastic thumbs up. There was a note on the back in my mom's handwriting, Nina's project. Quotations and all. I showed it to Mason. He winced. Wow, that's some energy. Right. I ended up burning that one, tossed it in the fire pit, and watched the edges curl and blacken. It felt dramatic and stupid and cathartic as hell. Another day, I found a scrapbook I made in middle school. It had a page titled My Dream Wedding. It was covered in magazine cutouts, sparkly shoes, peonies, a flowy dress, a cake with too many tears. At the bottom, I'd written, Dad walks me down the aisle. Mom cries happy tears. Carly helps me pick a dress. I sat there for a long time, looking at that sentence. Then I tore the page out, folded it into a paper plane, and threw it into the trash. Goodbye, fantasy. Hello, real life. 3 weeks later, I got a message from my cousin Rachel. Yo, Carly's wedding invites are out. Guess who didn't get one? I replied, Let me guess me. Nope, your parents' LMAO. What? She only invited like 40 people, said she wanted a drama-free environment. Apparently your mom threw a fit. Full-on meltdown. Someone said she cried so hard she gave herself a nosebleed. I laughed so hard I snorted. She's getting married next weekend, Rachel added, in Napa, with a private chef and a vow circle or whatever the F***CK that is. Of course she was. Of course Carly was having her fairy tale vineyard redemption arc. And you know what? She can have it. I'm not jealous. I'm not bitter. I'm just done. Let her be the star of her own damn show. Let her spin her tragedy into an Instagram highlight reel. Let my parents bend over backward to earn a spot at her table, only to be left out in the cold. Because for the first time in my life, I don't want their approval, their praise, their crumbs. I want peace, and I finally know what that looks like. Last night, Mason and I had dinner on the balcony. It was simple pasta, wine, Jazz playing low from his phone. He lit a candle. I wore a hoodie. At one point, he raised his glass and said, "To you, for choosing yourself." I smiled. Clinked glasses. And somewhere deep in my chest, something settled. Not revenge, not satisfaction. Just stillness. And I'll take that over their love any day. The morning after Carly's wedding. I woke up to 23 texts, 5 missed calls, and 1 Facebook message request from her fiancé's ex-wife. Yeah, didn't see that coming. Her message said, "Hey, I know this is random, but I think we need to talk. Can we hop on a quick call?" No hi, no explanation, just straight chaos. I sat there, phone in hand, still half asleep, debating if I even wanted to open that door. Mason was in the kitchen making pancakes, which he only does when he's trying to cheer me up or distract me from doing something emotionally reckless. I stared at the screen for a minute, then texted back, "Sure, call me in 10. Because I'm not reckless. I'm just curious. 10 minutes later, I was sitting on the floor in our guest room, hair in a bun, hoodie on, heart pounding. She called right on time. "Hi," she said, all breathless. "I'm Ava. I was married to Peter." "Peter, Carly's new husband." "Right." I'm sorry to come out of nowhere like this," Ava said. "I saw your name tagged in a post with her, and I kind of put things together." "Okay," I said slowly. "What's going on?" She exhaled hard. "I think your sister's about to get burned, or maybe burn everyone else first." I waited. She and Peter started seeing each other before our divorce was final, like months before. And I didn't care at the time I was done with him, but the way she went about it, the manipulation, the lies she told people I was unstable, that I threatened her. I blinked. "Wait, what?" "She got me blacklisted from a job I was up for," Ava continued. "Told the hiring manager I'd been arrested for harassment. It wasn't even true. And then she threatened to sue me for defamation if I ever talked about it." I had no words. "She's smart, I'll give her that," Ava said. "But she's also dangerous. The kind of person who'll poison the well and the cup." I let out a low whistle. "That's not shocking." "I thought you should know," Ava said. "Because people like her, they always need a scapegoat, someone to play villain so they can be the victim again." And that landed hard, because for most of my life, that villain was me. After I hung up, I just sat there, processing. It wasn't that Ava told me something I didn't already know deep down. It was that someone else had finally said it out loud. A stranger, a total outsider, someone with no stake in my drama confirming, without hesitation, that Carly was exactly who I remembered her being. And weirdly, I felt vindicated. I walked into the kitchen, still holding my phone. Mason looked up. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just got a surprise guest appearance in the Carly cinematic universe." He raised an eyebrow. "Want coffee?" "Always." As he poured, I leaned against the counter. "She married a walking lawsuit," I said. "Shocking." "And apparently she tried to ruin the guy's ex-wife's life in the process." He passed me the mug. Sounds on brand. We stood there for a minute, sipping. I was waiting for that old familiar feeling, the ache, the rage, the desire to do something. But it didn't come. Instead, I said, "I'm done playing her cleanup crew. Whatever mess she makes, she can sit in it." Mason raised his cup. "Cheers to that." The rest of the week was weirdly calm. My phone stayed quiet. No more flying monkeys from the family group chat. No sudden declarations of love or demands for forgiveness. It felt like everyone had finally accepted what I'd known for a while I was out. Like out. Not just distancing, not just taking space, but fully, consciously, no more seats at my table out. And honestly, I slept better. I started going on longer walks, bought plants I couldn't name, started rewatching old comfort shows without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I even went back to journaling, something I hadn't done since college. One night, I opened a fresh page and wrote at the top, "Things I'm not sorry for. Not inviting people who don't respect me. Refusing to downplay my joy for someone else's comfort. Choosing a partner who sees me. Cutting the rope instead of pulling harder. Walking away without burning down the house, even though I could have. When I finished the list, I felt lighter, not invincible, but honest. And that felt like a win. Then I got a text from Rachel. "You still live at the same address?" I replied, "Yeah, why?" "No reason. Just heads up. I sent you something." A few days later, a small box arrived. Inside was a framed photo. It was from my wedding, a candid someone had taken without me knowing. I was laughing mid-dance, holding a champagne glass, with Mason behind me, smiling like I was the best thing in the room. Underneath the photo, in block letters, she had printed, "She chose peace." I stared at it for a long time, then I cried. Just a little, the good kind. Because she was right. I did. I didn't go to Carly's wedding, obviously, but I heard things. Apparently, someone toasted second chances, and Carly cried into her champagne. My mom showed up anyway, uninvited, and caused a scene in the parking lot. She was escorted off the property. A friend of a friend said she was screaming something about loyalty, and how dare you leave your real family behind. Peter, her new husband, made a joke during the vows about surviving the storm, and 3 people I know said they heard Carly whisper, "This one better work." I could have let all of it get to me. But instead, I baked banana bread and organized my sock drawer. Because I'm not her mirror anymore. I don't reflect her drama. I don't carry her shame. I don't even think I carry anger anymore. Just boundaries. Sharp, solid ones. And honestly, that's better than any revenge. A few nights ago, Mason and I sat on the balcony again. Same wine, same hoodie, different vibe. I was thinking, I said, about how I used to see family as this unbreakable thing, like no matter what happened, blood would hold it all together. Mason nodded, letting me talk. But now I think family is whoever claps for you when you win and helps you stand when you fall. And if that's not your blood, that's fine. He reached over and took my hand. "That's more than fine," he said. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. No guilt, no second guessing. Just peace. And banana bread. It started with a friend request. From my dad. I don't even know why it surprised me, after months of silence, after being ghosted, cursed out, and publicly disowned. He decides Facebook is the way back in. I sat there, staring at the little blue button. Confirm or delete. Mason walked by. Carrying laundry, he saw my face and asked, "Who died?" I spun the laptop around. He squinted. "Is that—" "Yep, my father. Apparently alive. Apparently Facebook savvy." He laughed under his breath. "What does he think this is, a social reset button?" Honestly, probably. I didn't accept it. Just let it sit there like a landmine I had no intention of stepping on. But of course, that wasn't the end. 2 days later, a letter showed up. Yep, a letter. Again. I knew it was from them before I even opened it, the handwriting. The perfume my mom always sprays on envelopes like it's 2003. I almost threw it out, but something made me open it. The tone totally different. No yelling, no guilt tripping. Just weirdly calm. "We've been thinking about things. We miss you. Maybe we didn't handle everything the right way. We'd like to talk. Maybe dinner sometime." I read it twice. Maybe we didn't handle everything the right way. That was the closest I was ever going to get to an apology. I read the line again, and something in me rolled its eyes so hard I could feel it in my spine. I put the letter down and didn't say anything about it for a full day. Then Mason found it on the counter. He looked up from the page and said, "So, what do you want to do?" I thought for a second. I don't know. Part of me feels like if I don't at least acknowledge it, I'm just proving you're the problem narrative. He nodded slowly. And the other part? Wants to light it on fire. He smiled. Valid. I ended up sending a short message. Nothing dramatic. I got your letter. I'm not ready to meet up, but I hear you. That's all. No opening the door, just letting them know I saw it and wasn't crawling back. No response came, which was fine by me. But then came the second wave texts from extended family. Aunt Diane, you should call your mom. She's really upset. Uncle Jeff family is complicated. Kiddo. But at the end of the day, they're still your parents. Cousin Bella, I don't want to take sides, but maybe just hear them out. Oh, I see what this is. They're recruiting. It was subtle. A slow drip. Just enough to wear me down without making it obvious. Classic move. I ignored the messages at first, but they kept coming. Little jabs disguised as concern. Tiny daggers dipped in, but it's for your own good syrup. Mason watched me start to unravel and finally said, you can block them too. I know, I muttered. Part of me wants to believe someone will finally say the right thing. Something real. He sat beside me. You've given them so many chances to be real. At what point do you stop auditioning for love that isn't coming? That line, that F***king line. It landed like a punch. Because that's what I'd been doing for years, hadn't I? Auditioning. Trying different versions of myself, the obedient daughter, the quiet one, the successful one, the peacemaker, hoping one would finally be enough. Spoiler alert, none were. That weekend, Mason and I went hiking. It was his idea. Let's get out of the noise, he said, just for a day. So we packed a thermos of coffee, put our phones on airplane mode, and headed out to the woods. And for 5 hours, it was just us. Trees, birds, that smell of wet leaves and clean air. Somewhere along the trail, I sat down on a rock and said, I'm scared that if I keep them out forever, one day I'll regret it. He sat next to me, took a sip from the thermos, and said, and what if you let them back in and regret that instead? I looked at him. You think I'm being too harsh? No, I think you're finally choosing your peace over their patterns. And that's terrifying, because no one ever told you it was allowed. God, I love this man. That night, I wrote a letter. Not to send, just to say the things I never got to say. Dear Mom and Dad, I wanted a family, not just people who shared my DNA, a family. I wanted hugs when I cried. I wanted someone to say I'm proud of you without adding, but your sister did it better. I wanted fairness, or at least the illusion of it, but what I got was a house full of rules for me and a throne for Carly. And I tried. God, I tried. I did everything to be the daughter you could be proud of. But I finally understand it was never about me. It was about control, an image, and comfort. And I'm done trading my self-worth for your silence. I love you. I probably always will. But I can't unlearn what you taught me by accident, that love, in your house, was a transaction, and I'm done paying. I folded it up, stuck it in my journal, and let it stay there. Felt like something had shifted in me, something final, not explosive, just solid. A choice. A few days later, I got a voice memo from Carly. Yep, Carly. I didn't even know she had my number again. I played it on speaker, standing in the kitchen. Her voice was soft, like she was trying to sound gentle human. Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I know I hurt you, and I'm not going to make excuses. I guess I just got used to being the one people protected. And maybe that made me blind to what you were dealing with. I blinked. What? She continued. Anyway, I'm not expecting a reply, just wanted to say it for what it's worth. And then it ended. I stood there for a long time. Mason walked in, looked at my face, and said, "Everything okay?" I hit replay. We listened to it together. When it ended again, I just stood there. I didn't know what I felt. Not really. Not anger, not forgiveness, just a strange quiet. Like someone finally admitted the sky was blue after years of swearing it was green. I didn't reply. Maybe I will someday, but not yet. Because healing isn't linear, and forgiveness isn't a door I owe anyone the key to, not unless I feel ready. And right now, I feel free. Later that night, I got a text from Tasha. "Still proud of you, you know." I smiled. "Me too."